Hello and welcome back to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another exciting episode. Before we dive in, remember to check us out at manufacturingculturepodcast.com and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content. Today's episode is brought to you by our fantastic show sponsor, Spironi, a leader in precision tool management solutions. We're also proud to partner with Shop Floor Coffee, the go-to coffee brand for manufacturing professionals looking to fuel their day with a delicious cup of joe. Now, let's get to the heart of today's show. We have the privilege of welcoming back a truly remarkable guest, Andrew Crowe, the face of and force behind the American manufacturing renaissance. Drew's journey is nothing short of inspirational, rising from the challenges of his background to becoming a powerhouse in the manufacturing industry. In 2022, Drew took the nation by storm with his American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour, inspiring a new generation and showcasing the unlimited potential within manufacturing. His leadership at Ranking Technical College and as a dynamic co-host of Project MFG has left an indelible mark, elevating the skilled trades and shaping the future of the industry. Drew's influence extends far beyond the factory floor. His voice is echoed in the halls of the White House and the Pentagon, shaping industrial policy and driving change. As a two-time recipient of the Aerospace and Aviation Man of the Year Award and featured thought leader in Forbes magazine, Drew's impact is unparalleled. A year ago, Drew shared his inspiring journey with us, and today he's here to provide an update on his incredible work and to discuss the significant contributions, the historical contributions of Black people in manufacturing. But that's going to be in part two. We'll first catch up today with Drew and hear about his latest endeavors and even give a peek into his background for those of you who may have been living under a rock for the last couple of years and not have heard of him. Drew's story of one of resilience and transformation, from overcoming personal challenges to becoming a leading figure in the industry. His work continues to inspire and ignite change, making him the perfect guest for today. So grab your cup of coffee and let's get started on this journey with the one and only, the remarkable Andrew Crowe. Andrew Crowe, welcome to the podcast, man. I love having you back.
That guy's dope.
That, my dude.
That dude is dope,
Look
man.
at that.
Hey,
That's the guy I was talking about.
man, had to be, man, because
That's the guy I'm talking about, man.
Yo, no, but for real, in all seriousness, man, thank you so much for the intro and reminding me of how far I've come and how much further I'm gonna go, and I appreciate every word, man. It made me feel like it was him you were talking about it now.
Hey man, I made you this offer last year and I'm going to make it again. If you need somebody to go on tour with you and just be that hype man, just MC those, get everything kicked off for you, write a different episode or a different intro for every one of your appearances. I'm your guy, man. Just let me know.
Let's get it. We got to talk numbers first.
Trust me, you can afford it.
Just bring the shop floor coffee. We're gonna be all right.
Absolutely, dude. This stuff is amazing. Have you tried it yet?
I haven't tried it yet, but they're gonna be sending me some. Actually, they might be here by now. I was on the road for the past 2 weeks straight. So I do have some in the mail. Shout out to Shop Floor Coffee. And actually, this industry is what made me start drinking coffee. So why have we gone so long without having machinist coffee,
Dude, it's amazing to me.
It makes sense.
That it took 2024 to be the year that we have coffee for machinists, right? Finally. Absolutely. So, yeah, you said you were on the road the last 2 weeks. I got the privilege of catching up with you 2 weeks ago at IME out in Anaheim. You were rocking the News and Brews crew there with Industrial Studios. Where were you this week, man?
So this past week, I was in Dallas, Texas, the great state of Texas, and it was a fantastic time. Like the show, SolidWorks and Dassault Systems throws every year, 3D Experience World. This was my first one. I was supposed to go last year, and I wasn't able to make it with my schedule. But my first one just blew my mind. Not from just the things that I saw there and the innovations that are coming, but the community and the panels. I learned so much from people. It was just a dope time. And then you know rewinding even to IME, the fact
Yeah.
that the fact that platforms are starting to really reach out and say what you're doing is important. We want to, get behind it. We want to give you a platform to give your message to the people because it means that much. I mean, I'm so grateful for that. Like beyond words that I could find to describe. And that's just a testament to the groundswell of people that are saying we want to hear more of this message. We believe in it. We want to get behind it. And it's been nothing but positivity. So I think our industry is listening. They're doing better. They're taking the steps. They're being intentional, and we're seeing the results of that. So it's
Yeah.
really dope, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. And that News and Brews crew, um, I think represented the industry well. I mean, you had, it wasn't a bunch of people who look like me, right?
Right.
It was very representative of who we have in the industry right now, and I love that. Not just on the metal manufacturing side, right? Not just
Yeah.
a machine shop side, but manufacturing as a whole was really represented by the five hosts that
Yes.
News and Brews brought.
Yes. Informa did an outstanding job of curating the people that they put on there. I worked with an amazing team of people, and like you said, we had all ages represented. We had pretty much every facet of manufacturing career sets and skill sets represented. We had, different experiences represented. And it was so amazing that it could have been any, they could have did the easy thing, like a lot of these
Yeah,
places do. Or they could have
yeah,
been, some of these places are like, oh, we're anti-influencer. You know what I'm saying? But I
yeah,
think taking a stand and having that large of a platform and then showing the results of how well we did, we really not only set the standard and set the bar really, really high, but we also proved that it's something that is probably necessary going forward for not only our
yeah.
industry, but the conferences in our industry and the businesses. And, just the interviews that we were doing, the wide range of people in our industry as well. Like the team was super diverse,
Absolutely.
but the people that we got to interview and the things that came out of those interviews were amazing. I'll be excited to share some of that with the people that weren't able to attend. And then we didn't even talk about on the last day of the conference, excuse me, on the last day of the conference, I got to sit on a panel, and we had like I think like 10 or 15 high schools represented from the California
Yeah,
area, and we got to show them representation of themselves in our
yeah,
industry, and got tours led and all of that stuff. So we're really in small pockets, but in a major way. Um, putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and doing the work
yeah.
on a larger scale. So I'm really encouraged.
Absolutely. Oh man, I it was a first conference, and it was my first time at IME, so I have nothing to baseline on uh, historically with the conference. But that was my first time there, and my comment to my wife when I got back was that was the most diverse conference
Yes,
that I have been to. Like, not just a panel, not just the News and Brews, not just the schools,
the
but you
attendees,
walked the
dude.
attendees. Like you walked through that place, and you had every race, every gender, you had every different type of population represented there in the booths, in the aisles. I mean, it was something that other shows should absolutely aspire to.
Yes.
Because there are times where you and I are at these shows and we look around and
It's just me.
it's just me. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For real, for
Yeah.
real. And you're right. And it's been the majority that way. And it's like, yo, there's no excuse for it not to look like IME West look, you know,
Yeah.
and I credit that again to, you know, even if you look at their staff, if you look at the people at Informa,
Absolutely.
they in C-suite positions have women, have black men from the UK. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a wide variety of our America, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
represented. And so it's natural for them to promote in ways that would attract different people. It's natural for them to say, okay, this panel should look a lot like our boardroom and our, you know, the people that put this show on, and they did a great job. And like I said, the results were a packed out conference that represented, you know, our industry in a fantastic way. And the great thing is, it's only gonna keep getting better. Like, you know, like if this is
Absolutely,
where
man.
it was this year and we're
Yeah.
like that, like I can't wait for, you know, next year and the rest of the conferences that we have this year. Like IMTS, I have a great feeling that IMTS is going to do the same, you know, as far as a diverse, really packed out
Yeah.
you know, conference.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And how important for the students, you know, the IME, the students that were there to be able to see that representation in the
Right.
aisles, in the booths, in the Informa
Yes.
boardroom, right? And I think that the Student Summit in Chicago will have, to your point, a very similar experience that they're going to come in and really be able to see, okay, there is a pathway for me. I'm not going to be that token hire, right?
Yep.
Et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera.
And the truth of the matter is, you know, my tour is a result of me not having that. You know what I'm saying? As a
Right.
kid. And
Yeah.
you know, I won't say that I knew these particular careers existed, but I knew that, you know, there were careers out there, but they didn't seem attainable for me because there was nobody that looked like me, that came from where I came from, that talks like
Right.
me, that had these careers, right? So it's like, yeah, I know about, you know, astronauts, and I know about all these like architects. I know, you know, what it is, but show me a black one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Yeah.
you know, have them come talk to me. Like, can I talk to, like, let me rap with these guys, you know? But that
Yeah.
wasn't an opportunity. So that's why I feel a duty now that I've found the equivalent of, you know, a career that could pay you a lot, that you can get into with a low, you know, there's a low barrier of entry, you know,
Yep.
it's attainable, and you can go as far as you want. You can, you know, become an inventor or innovator. You can work for NASA. You could do all these different things. You could be a Courtney Tate who has his own shop. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's important to be not only present, but attainable, right? So that's why
Yeah.
I could do a virtual tour. Like I could do, you know, like put me on Zoom for your classroom, and I do that
Right.
sometimes. But the importance of me being in this space with these kids, they can reach out, they can touch, they can feel, and it's real, and the story's real, and
Yeah.
it goes with them. So now it's like, okay, what classes do I need to start taking right now, right?
Yeah.
What is the local places that I need to start looking at so I can apply? How do I apply? How do I apply to
Yeah.
college? You know what I'm saying? Like all of these different things, now they're thinking of them because it's relevant
Yeah.
and it's culturally relevant and it's relevant to them in a way that it's attainable.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So you said a couple of different things in there that I want to touch on. First, you talked about your tour. Last year when we talked, you hadn't gone on tour yet. Tell us about the last year and tell us about the tour that you went on in 23, man. It from what I saw on LinkedIn and social media, because you got to follow Drew
Yeah,
on whatever. So
please do.
like you can't. switch on any social media and not find him. So find him on social media at Drew Crowe, the MFG, I think is what it is on
Yep.
most channels.
Yep.
But it looked amazing, man. You're
Every year.
influencing
Yeah,
lives. You're
man.
touching lives.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So last year was a success again, like 22 was, and we're gonna keep growing this year. So um, last year we got to hit another 10 cities, and each one of those cities it was the same thing: stories of kids, you know, finding their way, finding their focus, finding a place to go. And what we started to do with our partners, Master Cam and Cam Instructor, and some other partners, is actually sew into these districts that I'm going to see. So, whether that means giving them 3D printers or mini routers, giving them software to be able to not only learn and do, but we given software. Cam Instructor has instructing software. So if you've got a teacher that doesn't know
Unbelievable.
this and you want to be able to teach these things, and you're in a district that doesn't have a budget, here you go. Like, here's your class in your pathway to start building these things out right now, right? So my
Yeah.
tour, for anybody that doesn't know, was called the New American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour for the past 2 years. This year and going forward, we're the Champions of Champions Tour. And the reason we're changing the name is, number one, it's just a lot to say and to put on a flyer. You know what I'm saying? and then two, the Champions of Champions, like, our industry, nothing gets made unless we touch it, right? And that
Yeah.
includes, the machines that are building the buildings, the parts that go into the buildings, the things we fly in, the things that we drive, the clothes that we wear. So we're the unsung champions of America, of the globe, really, and we need to start
Yeah.
showing, the importance of what we do and why what we do is necessary. And then, those are the champions of America. But us who are already here, we need to champion them, right? We need to be
Yeah.
their biggest supporters and them their mentors. So Champions of Champions Tour, this year we're going to be launching in April, and we have 10 cities lined up. I'm looking to do 15. So if you are interested in having us come out, please reach out to me as soon as possible. AMT and IMCS are sponsoring this year. Mastercam, MSC, Cam Instructor. So we've got some great sponsors so far. We're looking for 2 more. So if you'd like to have an impact in our skills gap, in our diversity gap that is meaningful, please reach out as well. And this is how the tour is set up. I go to a city for 2 days. The first day, I'm in front of job seekers and students, usually middle to high school students. And we like to have it at a technology center or a technical college. So
Okay.
we bring the kids in to the auditorium. We do a dynamic 2 hour show. We feed them lunch, and then we let them tour the facility. So all of the things that we just talked about, my story, stories of local people that look like you that are in the industry, and a panel discussion. After you hear all of those exciting things, we want to walk you through this campus so you can not only see what it looks like, but see where to go and make it real for your life. So after I leave and you have all of this excitement, you can get started in your own place and you can really connect those dots. A lot of the
Yeah.
technical schools have reported increases in signups for STEM camps, and signups for dual enrollment programs, and signups for seniors that are leaving and don't have a plan for college. They're getting more enrollees. Other instructors are reporting that local schools are doing more tours. One of my instructors at a college had texted me, and he was like, I've never seen anything like this. I'm doing multiple tours a week, if not multiple a day, since you've been here. So those are the type of results that we're looking to get, helping build that ecosystem, helping connect dots and make
Awesome.
it real, not only benefiting the community, but benefiting, the technical college system in our industry at the end of the day. The second day that I spend in the city is with industry, because industry wants to hire people. Industry really has a need and they want to reach back to these communities, but a lot of the times they don't have the proper vessel or the proper spokesperson or the proper ways to get real results when they do, So I've heard things like, hey, I've got an internship program where we'll pay for them to come and go to school for half a day. But when we reach out to the communities, nobody signs up. It kind of falls on deaf ears. And
Yep.
I introduce them to ways that they can do it better. I introduce them to the local people that can be that conduit for them, if it can't be me myself. So we start those conversations. We do effective recruiting and retention strategies, and we help the industry start linking back after I leave and building that ecosystem and that pipeline together.
I love it, man. I love it. So what are some of the stops on this year's tour? You said you need 5 more.
Yes.
I hope my listeners will fill the rest of Drew's calendar. Drew, what are the 10 cities that you already have booked out?
So we'll be in DC, we'll be in Baltimore, we'll be in Seattle, we'll be I think back in LA. I don't know if that one is confirmed yet. St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, um, Tampa, Florida, Tampa and Sarasota. I count that as one.
All right.
And then I just came back from Texas, so we're looking at Dallas and Houston. So that's actually
Got it.
11 that are confirmed. I am talking to my friends in Arkansas and Nebraska about going back, but I am looking to do 15 this year. So let me get
All right.
outside. Let me get to your campus. Let's get the community in there and let's help build out, put some butts in your seats and build this pipeline and
Yeah.
fill it up for that local industry because we all need each other.
So let me ask you a question selfishly. If I wanted you to come to Arizona, but I needed you in Tucson and in Phoenix at 2 different schools, could we make that happen?
Man, we can make that happen. Let's holler at the local
All right.
associations out there and let's put our heads together and figure out how to do it. But um,
Well, man, I was just elected board
I
president
heard
for
that.
Skill Up Arizona. So I may know a guy who can help make that happen.
Yeah,
So,
I heard that.
uh,
Give him a
so
little nudge for me.
yeah, it'll be a little elbow poke, but yeah, let's make that happen, man. Because I just toured the school down in Tucson, Pima Community College.
Okay.
Phenomenal setup, man. And they're part of this drive to get more students into manufacturing. They're part of Biden's new plan to get they want 1,000 new enrollments in this year.
That's what's
So
up.
let's help them get there.
Yes, 100%. And this is the way that we do it, right? We
Yep.
collaborate, and if we can't do it, we get the voices and the people that are going to be effective. And again, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to help people do. I want to make sure that all of this effort and all of this good positive intention doesn't go to waste and it's as impactful as it needs to be and as it can be. You know,
Yeah.
Arizona, like a lot of different places in the United States, have, an issue where we've been so divided for so long and we've been
Yeah.
so far away from this industry where now these shops are right here in the backyard and we don't even know that they're there. We don't know how to get there. It's completely
Yep.
foreign, to these communities.
Yep.
So I love the fact that
Yep.
we're being intentional now and I'm here.
Well, man, you were a big mentor in my intentional journey, right?
Thank you.
In my pathway to being more intentional in how I approach the industry, how I approach this podcast, bringing guests on. The thematic idea came from our conversations last year about being more intentional, about going out and finding uh, representation for different groups within the industry to highlight their journeys, right?
And
And this year,
tell me this, if you don't mind me asking,
yeah,
as a white male, I call you an ally, But
Yeah.
as a white male in this industry, did it cost you anything to do any of this? For real, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
advocacy it's not gonna hurt, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
not only did it not cost you anything, but you're helping propel careers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're helping to
Absolutely.
put a spotlight on people that do deserve it, that don't get it traditionally. And I want to commend you for that because, again, you know, you could have just listened to what I say. There's a lot of people that are out here that call themselves, you know, Drew, I'm your friend, I'm your ally, I stand side by side with you. And I really appreciate that. And I love the love that they give me. But it's like, yo,
Yeah.
don't just love me, love people that
Right.
look like me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
if you think that, you know, I'm worthy of that love, think about how many other people are, right? So
Yeah.
you not only heard my words, but you're using my words, and we're all benefiting for it. So I want to thank you. And I also
Thank you.
want to highlight that. You know what I'm saying? Because again, there's a lot of people that are in your position and they look like you right now, and they don't know what to do. They know, hey, there are problems, and I can be somebody that can help at least shed light on it or do the smallest things that I can do. Just wish a black person happy Black History Month, or just make a
Right.
post. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just
Yeah.
hey, I recognize you, I see you. I might not know how to do. You know what I'm saying? But once someone from the community says, "Hey, try this," and you actually do it, that's what makes a difference. That's taking a step forward. You know what I'm saying? And that's being an ally. So for people that are in your position that say, I don't know where to start, I don't want to do the wrong things, because that's tough too.
Right.
I don't want to do
Right.
the wrong things, it's scary. But I do know that there has been some historic, you know, issues and systemic stuff that's still going on today, and things aren't right. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
where can I start? What is the least thing that I can do? And
Yep.
you're killing it, man. So thank you for being an
Thank you.
example.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for the kind words. Um, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm meeting so many new people because I'm much more open, right, and much more intentional in who I'm seeking at trade shows, at conferences, online, on LinkedIn, etc. Right, I'm meeting so many cool people that just when we have conversations, it's joyful, it's heart wrenching, it's sad, it's depressing, and it's back to joyful.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. You take the time to sit down and just talk to human beings
Yes.
about their journey. It's amazing what you can learn about them, right? And how much more filled my cup is because of that.
Right.
And making a post about Black History Month, literally, I've lost 0 viewers, I've lost 0
Come on, man.
listeners, I've lost 0 followers on any social media.
And I'd
So
also argue, if you did as a result of that, those aren't the ones you want anyway. That's a
exactly.
service to you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's the important thing to remember. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's not gonna be any loss for being an ally, being a person that does the right
Right.
thing. You only grow because of it. And the interactions that you're having gives you more of an insight on what people are afflicted with in our industry. So now you can say, I know my friends that also happen to be Black have told me that they're dealing with this, or this was what their pathway looked like. So let me
Yeah.
see where I'm in instances that I can do something about that. I keep that on the front of my mind, because those are my friends, those are my colleagues, and I know that,
Yeah.
you know, this is something that they consistently tell me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
how can I not only make it better for now, but make it better for, again, these people that are coming behind us, that are
Yeah.
increasingly identifying as minorities and women. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So how do we
Yep.
make the world better, the industry better, and ourselves better at the same time? If you flip the script, excuse me. So if you flip the script without, you know, throwing anybody under the bus, but this was a teachable moment for um, one of my instructors. You know,
Okay.
I was at ranking, like you said in the intro, and one of the instructors that worked with me um, was like, you know, we had like one black student in there, and he was struggling coming to class and being in class in his particular class, and like kind of sitting in the back, and
Yeah.
um, you know, the rest of the students in the class were from rural areas, like extremely rural,
Okay.
where they didn't really
Yep.
interact with too much black and they didn't know culture, right? And my instructors were, you know, for lack of better words, kind of the same way. You know what I'm saying? But being
Yeah.
older, they had a little bit more experience with black people, you know. And the school, the college is in an all black area. So most of the people come in to, you know, go to the school, but the campus looks nothing like outside the gates. So
Got it.
the instructor came to school and he was like, you know, I was driving into school this morning and I saw a bunch of black men that were like working age, like 20s and 30s, and they were just outside. And he was like, you know, I just wonder if they can be outside, how come they're not working? And I was like, you know, when you drove in, you drove through your neighborhood first. Did you see any white
Yeah.
people outside? And he said, yeah, I saw
Right.
plenty of white people outside. I said, well, what did you assume that they were doing?
Right.
I assume, well, they
Good
were
call.
running on their way, getting ready to go to work, having a morning run, or, you know, maybe just worked overnight and just came home. And it's like, you know, it's all about your mentality and the way that you think and the way that you view people. These are the same,
Yeah.
just they're just two different areas. And the people that you saw outside because they looked like you, because you knew their stories, or you knew stories of people like them that you empathize and sympathize with why they were outside, and you painted a better picture. But because you
Yeah.
don't spend time being intentional, talking to people who aren't like you and interacting with people who look like you know, you assume that they're up to no good because your only interaction with the culture is maybe rap music or what you see on the news. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you have to actually get out. And then I put it in perspective for him. I was like, what black people, your black friends that you know, who do you know? And he named like, you know, 10 black people that were his friends, right? And I said, where do you know them from? Oh, I worked with this guy. I worked with that guy at da 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 da. I worked, you know, they were all people that he knew from work. So I said, just by your own statistics, every black person that you know has a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh,
So why
that's a great
so
point.
why do
I
you
love
so
that.
why do you assume that all black people that are outside of the working age don't have a job when your actual experience with all the black people that you know
Yeah.
was through work? They work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and so then at that point it made sense. And I could have canceled him. I could have like yelled at him. I could have like whatever. But that's if we use these things as a teaching moment and you know make it relatable, then they can understand. Everybody can understand that it starts here and here, right? And then
Yeah.
all this makes more sense if that makes sense, you
Yep.
know. So at the same
Absolutely
time,
does.
in this industry, you know, again, like I said, we had the one student at that in that cohort, and like I said, he was sitting in the back, he was struggling, and the teacher asked, like, you know, what's up with him? Why doesn't he open up? Why doesn't he, you know, join on the rest of the class? And I was like, dude, you just got to think about it. If you went to school or to work where you were the only white person there, and all your instructors and all of your classmates were white, and you didn't interact with black people a lot, and you just went into an all black environment,
Yeah.
how would you feel? What would you? And he was like,
Exactly.
you know, to be honest, I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't even go to work there. I wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? And that's his truth, and that is truthful. So think about your black counterparts at your job that might be the
Yeah.
only one, and think about, you know, schools and tech schools and training schools or women or whatever it may be. It's Black History Month, so I'm gonna keep it on that. But you know,
Yeah.
just be more empathetic and just understand everybody's journey didn't look like mine coming here. And before I write a person off or try to think about what a person is before I know them, I need to, you know, take a step back and actually,
Yeah.
you know, be intentional about, you know, learning some of these things and and hearing about them, you know?
Well, and that's a great part about EQ, right? It is learnable. It is something you can develop. IQ you can't develop.
Yeah.
You can't develop intellect, right? You can learn new things, but you can't develop your capacity.
Mm-hmm.
EQ, you can develop your capacity for empathy,
Yep.
for emotional intelligence, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it takes just a conversation like you had with that instructor, right? Instead of berating him, hey, let me change the dynamic of this conversation a little
Yes.
bit and put you in that person's shoes, right?
And I think that's why I find the success that I do in
Right.
working with industry and working with companies, because I've heard it all, but I understand a lot of times it comes from a place of misunderstanding, and it comes from a
Yeah.
place of not having the knowledge. But once you get the knowledge, and I'm here to teach you, and show you, what you do with that is on you. Now
Right.
it's in your, your court, right? But
Yeah.
if you're have the intention on, hey, I want to know why this kid isn't doing this. I want to know why those people are outside like that, and
Yeah.
not in a bad way, because his intention was, if they're not working, we need to get outside and go tell them about this school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, I just had to give him the perspective of, I know your heart's in a good place. I know your mind's in a good
Right.
place, but think about it like this. And if we're out there, handing out this stuff for these jobs in this school, and these guys, I just work third shift. Like, come on, like,
Right.
don't put that. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so again, it's just perspective, and it's empathy, and if we lead with love, and we lead with trying to teach a lesson, then that's the most important part. I talked about that in um, one of the interviews I did for News and Brews at IME West. When we kind of brushed on it this morning, like, am I'm different. I'm in my own, lane that I'm
Yeah.
carving for myself, but it's authentic. And
Yeah.
sometimes, all the time, I call it like I see it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not calling it like I see it to vilify anyone. And I'm not calling it
Right.
like I see it to call anybody out. I'm just calling you up. You know what I'm saying? And if I
Yep.
say, hey, yo, this is an issue, this is a problem that we have, you know, I'm saying it to point it out, to say, we're manufacturers. We're all about efficiency and effectiveness. Here's a hole in our boat. Let's plug it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
let's use our engineering and our manufacturing minds to say, let's be more effective and efficient. Let's have better processes. And the people
Yeah.
process is a part of it, a huge part of it. And then also, I'm not going to preach something without pointing out something as well. Like, when it comes to advocacy for other groups, last year, for a whole year, every Wednesday, I did a Working Women Wednesday shout out, where I shouted
Yeah.
people out in our industry that
Yeah.
I'd met. I'm inspired by that. I want to just use my platform to be able to help them build theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and it didn't hurt me. All I did was learn from it. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
learned. If this is what I'm telling the industry to do, why can't I do it? You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
let's take the lead. Let's practice what we preach, and let's get better because of it. And I made mistakes. It was women calling me out for some of the posts that I made and some of the language that I use, and all that did was make me better and give me a better perspective
Absolutely.
on how to be a better ally. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
instead of doing this, I did that. I listened. Okay,
Yeah.
where did I go wrong, or how could I have done this better? Teach me. You know what I'm saying? And while through teaching me, since we're doing it on a public place, you're teaching everybody that's on my
Everybody else.
timeline
Yep.
as well. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
we're not pointing stuff out, calling stuff out. We're calling we're calling ourselves up, and we're expecting better from all of us. You know what I'm saying? Including myself.
And you do it without judgment, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it'd be really easy for you in your position to be very judgmental of posts that may not hit the mark, right? Had the right intention, but may have missed a mark, right?
Yes.
But you do that without judgment. You do that with coaching and mentorship instead of judgment and browbeating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
1000%.
But
And I feel like, that's the grace that I would expect. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like, I know I'm not a perfect person, and you know, obviously because I'm transparent with my story, I know I messed up a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is public record. You feel me? So, I know that I'm in a place where you know I'm going to teach what I know and I'm going to learn what I don't know. And I want to be a
yeah,
continuous learner. And you can't learn with your ears closed, right? And your mind closed. So I like to extend that same grace and mercy to people because, you'd rather, take their medicine with sugar than straight. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and
absolutely,
it's easier if our intention is to call people out or like down people for not knowing, then we don't grow from that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
our intention has to be growth, understanding, and learning. So no matter where you come as a teacher and as a person that's hoping to get you this lesson, it's on me to teach you the way that you can receive it. You know what I'm saying? And not on me to
absolutely,
make you feel bad for not knowing, because again, you don't know what you don't know.
right, absolutely. Uh, I one of the things that I'll draw a correlation to, I teach a leadership cohort here in Arizona through the MEP here. And one of the things that I try and teach these students about from a fairly diverse background, and it's getting more diverse, so that's neat, is when you compromise, nobody gets 100% of what you want, of what they want. But when you collaborate, when you work together, everybody wins. It's a win-win situation, right?
One thousand
So
percent.
let's stop compromising. Let's stop compromising when we look at other people's journeys, when we are talking about our own journeys. Let's collaborate. Let's get stories out there because everybody's got a story. Let's hear their journeys, right?
Yes.
And that's really what this podcast
Yes.
is all about.
Yep. Another thing I want to say, and this is important for me to say during Black History Month as well, is when it comes to us telling Black stories, unfortunately, like, my story is my story where I came from the streets and I did all this, but there is not, just like there's not like one white story in America, there's not just one Black story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
let's tell the range of,
Yeah.
of Black American stories because it is American history, right? And I think
Yeah.
a lot of times, we get stuck in this cycle of, there's we watch movies and black people playing thugs and like strippers and stuff like that, and we watch music videos get pushed in our face and we portray these certain images, but it's like there are a lot of Black people that are in two family households that have great upbringings and all these different things that also have a perspective and they also have a unique story. You know what I'm saying? And just like
Absolutely.
that, there's a wide variety of white people and even, women and all these different things. There isn't just one way to connect. You know what I'm saying? There isn't just
Yep.
one story that we want to keep telling because that's not everybody's story and that's not the only Black American story. Now,
Yep.
unfortunately, it is the one that gets told the most, I feel like, or it gets
Yeah.
told a lot. And unfortunately, there's a lot of us that are afflicted by, that one story. Unfortunately,
Yep.
because of systemic things and a lot of things that didn't go our way, However,
Yep. Absolutely.
however, there is breakthrough, you know what I'm saying? And like even
Yeah.
my kids right now, my kids don't know about the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, my kids know about pictures that they see. They know their uncles. They know, when we go back like for Hood Day or like whatever it is. But
right.
like, man, they don't know nothing about that. And that's the goal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
They got a mom and dad. They go to private schools. You know what I'm saying? They get to travel the world and see trade shows and geek out on tech stuff. And that's just as much as a Black American story as mine. You know what I'm saying? As different people. So I think, that's another challenge for us to do in this month, in Black History Month. Let's not just talk about the Martin Luthers and the Malcolms and the Rosas. Like, let's open our brains a little bit more and say what other American Black stories are out there that deserve to be told and deserve to be put on these types of pedestals. You know what I'm saying? Because there's such a wide range of it. And, we also need to be reminded. We need to be reminded because our story didn't start as slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were king, like we did all different things. We invented a lot. We made a lot of things. We made things that we're using every day. And I know this is gonna segue into the next question. I mean, the next one, but let's be
part two, man.
Yes.
Let's save that for part two. I love the road you're on, but let's save that sentiment for part two.
Stay tuned.
No, but you're right. I mean, and that's been part of this podcast journey over the last year since you and I last recorded was being more intentional.
Yeah.
Again, highlighting Black journeys for the month of February. And I'll tell you, you talked about continually learning and people coming back to you with your women workforce women Wednesdays, right? I posted the very first episode for Black History Month, Black Journeys with Courtney Tate. And on one of the social media platforms, I mentioned, hey, this is how we're celebrating Black History Month. Here's the first episode. And I had somebody who is not in manufacturing, I've never met before, but it's a public profile on whatever platform it was on, reach out to me and ask me if this was my token attempt. If the rest of 2024 was going to be as inclusive, if I was being as intentional the rest of the year as I was for February. And that goes to your point. Black history is American history. Right? And so I did a better job this year in being intentional about February. But I have to continue that work. And so it wasn't an attack on me. It wasn't a judgment of me as a person. It was a way for me to get better and realize, okay, I've made the first step here. The second step is making sure that this is intentional year round, right? And not just making myself feel good about highlighting Black journeys in February. This needs to be an ongoing thing. And so I love the feedback. He and I now converse. He's listened to all 3 episodes that have come out so far this month. He's helping guide me through finding other people.
That's dope. Imagine if you weren't open though. You know what I'm saying? As an ally, imagine if you received that in a way that you felt like, oh man, he's trying to vilify me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then your network wouldn't be connected to now who he's connected to. You wouldn't have the opportunity to learn what they're teaching you, right? And
absolutely. So we talk a lot in this industry about getting this next generation involved. How do we touch those communities that are 2 and 3 buses away from having access to an amazing technical college, right? How do we help create sustainable career paths in areas that don't have the ability to get to that? Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense, and I'm glad you asked. Because a lot of times people see me and they think that I'm just a guy getting people aware about our industry, which that is a big part of what I do. But a more substantial part of what I do is working with schools to do exactly that. And not just schools, but right now I'm working with the Century Foundation and the Urban Manufacturing Alliance on an industry and inclusion cohort with 12 8 workforce training centers and 12 technical colleges, so that we can come up with these solutions and we can, build a SOP pretty much for this is what works. These are best practices. These are things that are going
I
to
love
give you
it.
your ROI. Because again, things like this are not just a Tucson problem, not just a St. Louis problem, not just a Detroit problem. It's an American problem. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
we do have solutions that can work. So when we find that the system is like that, where the technical colleges, well, first I'll say technical colleges for a lot of people in these afflicted areas is going to be the gateway into our industry or an apprentice program. A lot of times we're not jumping from where we were in our non-understanding into a 4-year engineering program. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
that doesn't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
seem attainable for us. And a lot of these places, they're going to be the first generation person going to any type of higher education after high school
Absolutely.
majority of the time. And that's not only just true for the urban areas, but the extremely rural areas as well.
Absolutely.
So the technical
And
colleges,
not to interrupt,
yeah,
but it's also potentially the first time in their family's history somebody's graduating high school,
right,
right? I
exactly,
mean,
exactly,
not just
1000%.
making it to
Yes,
college,
yes,
it's finishing that secondary
yes,
education as
yes,
well.
absolutely, absolutely. So number one, um, and I'll say this as well. This is a shameless plug, but every Friday, because of this question and because people asking me, how do I get started? I'm doing a top 3 trade schools in each state, right? So we can
Yeah.
find out who's doing what right, how they're connecting, where, the people that are watching me, where they can go in their own area to connect with these careers. And what I'm finding when I'm doing my research, when I'm going around and I'm touring, when I'm talking to presidents of colleges, dorms, if you're disconnected from the industry, if you have some type of living situation, I mean, from the community, if you have some type of living situation set up, that'll take that commute away, number one, but it'll also remove you from your environment that created a lot of the situations that you're in right
Mm,
now. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking to Shannon Gruce. She's the president of State Tech here in Missouri, right? They're in
yeah.
Jefferson City, which is maybe a 2-hour drive. And we're working on a solution to build a pipeline back to St. Louis. Because again, a lot of the times, there are technical colleges in St. Louis, but there's you go to the technical college and then you go home back to the neighborhood and the
Yeah.
influences and the things that you don't have. So you can't focus on that. If you are one of these
Yeah.
first generation college students, you know what I'm saying? You might also be the person that they're leaning on to be the breadwinner. So you got pressure from
Yeah.
your family in a weird way. You got pressure from your community and the culture in a weird way. And you can't just relax and focus on school. So recognizing
Yeah.
those barriers and doing things to be able to remove them. Um, Transportation issues, understanding that if a person has to take 3 buses, there's a chance they might be late to class. You know what I'm saying? And I can't give you, especially in trade school. So like, I know when I was teaching, our classes were 4 hours. There was 4 hours uh, uh, in the classroom, broken up
Wow.
2 hours classroom, 2 hours in the shop, and then you go to another class the second half of the day, right? So you're
Yep.
there for 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
understand this kid, because of all the things that can happen in public transportation and whatever it may be, they might have had to wake up 3 hours early just to get here on time. They might be 15 minutes late. So don't give them a point for being 15 minutes late. They might be a little bit
Right.
groggy. They might not have had their shop floor coffee. You know what I'm saying? They woke up early. They're not as clear. Like, yeah. And when you understand like real situations, then you can understand like, let's not create more mental barriers for this person and this student. Another thing that I would
Yeah.
say is be intentional about the instructors that you hire, right? Um, you have to create an environment and a culture that says, not only did I recruit you to come to my school, I want you to be here. You're important, right? You have
Yeah.
mentors and advisors that look like you where you can lean on. Like I was talking about Marquez earlier, he was the only one in that class, but because his teacher could come to me and ask me things, I could explain some of the things that Marquez maybe doesn't feel comfortable or even know the words to make this man understand
Yes.
where he's coming from. So being able to
Yes.
have an advocate in the school for you helps with some of those relations where this instructor was well intended, but he thought this kid was just tuned out. And it's not that he's tuned out, it's just these other things that are going on and he might just not know how, right?
Yep.
There was a situation when I was teaching, not even in my department. This was in the automotive department where some kids were watching a TikTok with the sound on, and the N word came up, and it was a black kid in class. He started flipping tables over. You know what I'm saying? And the instructors didn't understand why this kid was so mad. They just couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Right.
all of you 65-year-old white men don't get where this young 22 young black man is at mentally, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To make him do something like that. Maybe not the
Yeah.
correct response from him, but definitely not from you either. When now
Right.
he's sitting at home with the 3-day suspension, but the kids that were playing the video are still in class. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like we're sending a lot of the wrong messages, even at this level, without even knowing that you're doing it. So reach out to the industry and the community and find an advocate, for people from these communities to be here. Also, if you're from this community, you know how to reach back and talk to them. You know the things that are afflicted. So once I became an instructor at this technical college, I knew what high schools didn't know that this college was here, didn't know the programs that we had could benefit the most. So I'm
Yeah.
visiting those high schools on career fair days. I'm helping those high schools build out career fairs, right? I'm bringing my
Yeah.
resources to these places, being intentional because I come from the community and I know who needs it the most. I'm not just going to the schools that we always get kids from that always saw our representation because they're going to come. They're going to come anyway.
Yeah.
They know enough to where they'll come whether we're at their school or not, but they've never seen it. They have no idea what we're doing. They have no idea how to actually reach that
Yeah.
goal. So, I think,
And that's the goal this year with Skill Up here in Arizona, right? Is we've done a great job of the rebranding and taking our message and our programs into the high schools that have CTE
yeah,
programs, right? That already have that pathway into the career technical colleges, right? Now this year 2024 is really built on, let's go to the areas that don't have CTE programs,
yeah,
that don't have CNC machines. Let's start talking to those kids about these sustainable careers and how do they get there and the money that's there available regardless of skin color
yeah,
or background,
yeah,
right? We've got apprenticeship, we've got a scholarship foundation, we've got a lot of different buckets of money that we're willing to give people
yeah,
from whatever background they come from. But we had to, as a board, as an organization, say, okay, historically we've been really great partners with this high school, this district that have these CTE programs. Now it's time to go outside of that. Now
yes.
it's time to start impacting other
And there's
communities.
a good chance, not just the students, but the instructors, the teachers, the guidance counselors, the parents need to know what's going on as well,
Absolutely.
because all of the work that you guys have done in those communities might even have kids that go to those schools yourself, live and reside in
Right.
those communities. You're already there. Your presence is already there. People know you.
Yeah.
You're active in there. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna find a way to connect. If they've got the questions, they've got the network. A lot of times,
Yeah.
even though the resources are available, they don't have, when you come from underserved communities, you don't have the network or you don't have the ability to being able to even find and search. You don't even know where to look to know that these
Right.
things are available. So that's why we've got to be more intentional and help them build these things out and show them like, okay, this is why a CTE program manufacturing facing is going to be important for your community and for the students that go here, right? For your
Yeah.
kids, if we're talking to parents, right? So we've got to, again, like you said, and I'm glad that you all are doing it, be intentional about reaching people who probably don't look like you or live in your neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way that we talk about it, and I learned this from Courtney Tate, right? Uh, he the way he talks to young people about manufacturing, right? And I learned a lot from you, but this was more recent,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
nothing against
yeah,
you
no
and
problem.
your approach.
Yeah,
But Courtney talks to young people about the mold that the dunks that they're wearing
yeah,
was made in,
yep,
right? And connects to the things that they literally have on their body or
yes,
that they want to put on their car or whatever. He connect, hey, you want rims? Well, let me show you how these rims are made,
yep,
right? You like those Jordans? The soles of Jordans are made, creating this mold,
yep.
and this is how we create a mold, is by machining. And
I
that
love
to
that.
me was genius,
Yes,
man.
yeah.
When you are able to connect kids to what they care about with this industry, that's
I
amazing. and
think
i
so
and I've
too.
seen you connect on the personal level,
And
right?
so,
Telling your story.
yeah. So for me, I love that, and I think that that is an important step. But I try to take it a step before that. You know, before the what we make and the how we make it. I like to talk about the why, like why I'm here, why I'm making it.
Yeah.
And I'll ask students, you know what I'm saying, like why are when they used to come through tours, or like when I ask them what they want to be before I do my whole spiel. What do you want to be? You know what I'm saying? And they'll say different careers, and I ask why. And one kid one time was like, "Yo, I just don't know what I want to do, but I want to have all the Jordans when they come out, and I want to have a Hellcat." You know what I'm saying? And I could have told him like we make those things, but what I told him
Right.
was, okay, Google entry level CNC machinist on average here in this area, and he Googled it, and I think it was like $58,000 a year or something like that starting out, right? And then I said, all right, Google mechanical engineer. You know what I'm saying? Looked at that. That was
Yeah.
like 125,000 starting out, right? And I said, now if you think about it, how many Hellcats and Jordans can you buy with that salary? You know what I'm saying? Like you could have them all. You could have them
Yeah.
all times three. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like no matter what this is just the means that I'm gonna get you there, because it's something tangible. It's something I can show you exactly how to do. You don't have to go to school right now for 6 years straight. You could get in through an apprenticeship program, internship program like JARC. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
they give you free job training, turn those
Yeah.
certificates into an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, however you want to do it, but you're getting paid on the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We ended up getting that kid a job at Honeywell, and they started him off at $36 an hour. You know what I'm saying? First job,
Wow.
generational change, and that's what's important. But my background, I was that kid. You know what I'm saying? I am
Yeah.
from St. Louis, Missouri, and all the parts you see on the news, that's the parts we would bounce around from. My mom worked as many jobs as she could, and tried to do her best, by my
Yeah.
brothers and sisters and myself. And God bless her heart, but we've often found our times and situations where we were still standing in the need of a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, not having a ton of positive role models in my life, and my father, kind of being absent in my life, I didn't have good direction. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I wanted to help my mom more than anything. I used to see how she used to work so hard and come home and just sleep. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all her
Yeah.
body her body would just shut down. You know what I'm saying? And she did everything for us, right? She spent all of her money that she had on us and never really had nothing for herself. So for me, it was like this woman deserves everything. You know what I'm saying? So I got out
Yeah.
in the streets early, and who's hiring? The streets always hiring. And I took those
Yeah.
chances and took those gambles because I wanted my mama to get her rest and be able to hop back up and do something for herself instead of going to clock in for somebody else that was underpaying her for her time. You know what I'm saying? And being a
Yeah.
smart black woman, being a driven black woman, you know what I'm saying? Like she deserved all the opportunities that were going to people that didn't look like her, and she still endured. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I ended up in the streets, unfortunately, and I know she raised me better than that, but I just wanted to do, right by my mama, man. And I had that drive early. I couldn't wait till I was 18, and I was trying to go to college and 4 more years after that and get a job and whatever. I didn't know my mama
Yeah.
had time like that. You know what I'm saying? So um, I was in the streets. Quickly, street activity happened. So I would find myself in and out of jail. You know what I'm saying? And I just had this cycle of getting locked up and not knowing what to do, getting out, teenage father, you know what I'm saying? And I'm committing felonies, and I'm, just trying to feed my kids, man. And I'm trying to, be a blessing to my mama. And this is the only way I knew how, right? But
Exactly.
eventually things get old, you know what I'm saying? And you get tired of risking your life, risking other people's lives. And I thank God I had the introspect at that age to where I said enough is enough. So I reached out to the community, and I was just like, yo, I need a job, right? And a person reached back and said, I can't get you a job, but I can get you an interview. And I ended up interviewing at a machine shop with an old white man from the sticks named Donnie Ogle. And Donnie Ogle sat across from me, and he didn't have any judgments, you know what I'm saying? And if he did, he didn't let it, supersede the interaction that we were having. And I said on another
Yeah.
podcast with John Franco, that first 15 minutes in an interview is really, really important. Like, are you really getting to know this person or not? And instead of Donnie asking me about, like, my technical knowledge, we do get to that later. But before he asked me about my technical knowledge, he asked about me and what this job will mean to me and why I want this job, right? And I told him, how I was not the best person. And when you
Yeah.
run my name, you're gonna see that, But if you give me an opportunity, I can show you who I am now, who I want to be. And he said, you know what? If that's the mentality that you have, and you actually have that mentality, I can get you to exactly where you want to, that you say you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So he said, I got two positions. One is on the saw, one is as a machinist. And I asked them what they paid. I think the saw at the time was like $14 an hour, and the machinist was $19.50. And this is at the height of the recession. And so I was like, yeah, I want to be a machinist for sure. You know what I'm saying? So so not even knowing what it was. So Donnie slid me a machinist test. This back in the day when they still gave those, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
on one side it had like calipers and micrometers and different measuring tools, and it was like, identify these tools and then what's the reading on each one of them, right? And so I did horrible, failed that whole side. And then on the other side was just measurements, like, show me where a quarter is, or
Yeah.
a eighth, so I did great on that side because I knew fractions
Yeah.
because of my old job, right? I knew how to bust it down, right? So that was what's an eighth plus a quarter, right? So I got
Yeah.
that side great. And he was like, you're definitely not a machinist, but I'm gonna throw you on the saw. But if everything that you're saying is true, I'll make a machinist out of you, and you'll be able to take this as far as you want to go. This is an art that's been a dying art. And if you treat it that way and you respect it, you're gonna get everything out of this that you wanted. And I still didn't, at the time, I couldn't put into perspective what that meant
Yeah.
at the time. But like,
Yeah.
look at me now, dog. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Dude,
nothing that I could
that's
have
awesome.
ever, I set the standard, I set the bar at machinist, right? And he got me there. But then programmer, and then getting to go into engineering school, and all these different
Yeah.
things because of what this industry gave me, being a father, you know what I'm saying? And being able to provide and take care for my kids, going on tour to help other kids find this industry and provide for themselves. And it was because of a seed that Donnie Ogle planted. And that's another thing that I want to highlight is it doesn't take black people to lift up black people. It doesn't take a woman to hire and empower a woman. You can do this for people that you are nothing alike. Just believing in
Yep.
somebody and telling them that they believe in you will help them believe in themselves. So I started coming to work I was never on time for anything in my life. You know what I'm saying? They call it CP time. I was on CP3 time. Like, I'm gonna be late if I'm coming at all. You know what I'm saying? And this is the first thing that I wanted to make sure I was here on time, because me and Donnie made this promise to each other, and he told me he's gonna get me somewhere and that I can be somebody. So I'm gonna hold up my end of the bargain. So I started showing up 15 minutes early every shift, work my butt off the whole shift. You know what I'm saying? And then after the shift, I would clock out. First shift would come, and all the machinists would come in, driving their nice cars, talking about their lake houses that they built. And I'm just sitting there listening. And instead of dressing out, now off the clock, I got a notebook, and I'm just back there like taking notes, trying to learn. You know what I'm saying? And teach me, man. So I got the a machinist manual, bought a lot of coffee and donuts, and eventually the old Polish dude started teaching me how to machine manually, right?
Yeah.
And then a lady named Bobby taught me CNC and programming. So, that's another reason why people like Courtney Tate are important, because within the shop it was so hard for me to find someone who would teach me, who would mentor me, who would give me these lessons in a way that I would understand them. You know what I'm saying? And I just could think, like, to myself, if younger me had a Courtney Tate, the way that I would learn, you know what I'm saying, would be even exponentially greater, right? And my rise in my career field, would have been even doper. So as important as the mentors, I guess, that I had are to me, I understood that there's a need for so many more that represent the rest of America and what that can do for someone. You know what I'm saying? So after working my way up in that shop, I got to start. I eventually became a programmer, and eventually started running the second shift, right? And at that shop, just like a lot of shops in America, second shift had a problem hiring quality people. And like a lot of manufacturers, they were leaning on staffing firms, right? And staffing companies. And now we have some great ones that are focused in our area and really understand what it is and the aptitude and skills that are needed. But at that time, if somebody just said they worked in a warehouse before, oh, you can go be a machinist, and they're sending people on jobs, right? So you're getting a turnover in workers. The quality of work that you do get from the workers that are there wasn't good. And it was like companies were just barely, making it because of that attrition and that, skills gap on that second shift. So I started asking, let me hire people. Let me start grabbing people from where I'm from. And I know that what they got to lose. So I know what they're going to do with this opportunity, just like I do. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to start bringing people into that second shift. And on that second shift, instead of, being super strict and traditional like first shift was, I understood that if there was a single mom that was coming to work for me that had to get her child off the bus and walk them home because they live in an afflicted area that's dangerous, that's more important to me if you do that and you're 30 minutes late, but you're secure and you know that your child is okay and they're being cared for and they're safe. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get more out of you as an employee than if I, am on your back because you're 30 minutes late and then I give you 2 points and now you're thinking of not having this job anymore. You know what I'm saying? And, you barely got your kid to where they are, or maybe you didn't get your kid to where they are because you chose your job, and over that. And now you're thinking of what could happen. So then you're
stressed.
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So now that employee is filling out other job applications on the slide and not tuned in to this part that I need them to make. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, do what you got to do. Give it to me on the back end. You know what I'm saying? Smoke breaks. I know people smoke. I know I'm not going to be the person that's going to change them from smoking. You know what I'm saying? So instead of this person having to take four smoke breaks because they smoke a lot and they got to sneak 2 of them or lie to you or just, whatever it may be, just disappear. You don't know where they are. Yo, run me 1,000 parts in this first 3 hours, and I don't care how many smoke breaks you take. You know what I'm saying? After that, let's just get the production. Also, okay, now that we're standing at these machines for an hour every night, I'm going to go around to different people and I'm going to tell them what's coming across their screen. You're not just putting a piece of metal in a machine and pressing a button. This is G code right here. This is what you're telling this machine to do. This is what this line of code says. This is what this line of code says. So now more informed workers are able to do better. So if there is something that happens on second shift now, instead of having that whole machine shut down because there's no programming support, there's no day second shift support, now this person can make minor edits and keep the machine running, and we got good parts coming, right? Because they understand what the code is. So I started making more committed workers, better productive workers, and we stopped the turnover rate. And so, my manager, GM from that place went somewhere else, and they were like, Drew, I need you to come do that here. So I started to do that for different Fortune 500 companies that I was working for, and my name started ringing the bell as a person that could implement these things and turn your second shift bottom line around, right? So I was started consulting because I couldn't keep job hopping. So I started doing this for other companies and helping other companies start implementing these processes that put people first and showing them places in the community like, women's shelters, like workforce training centers, like, boys and girls clubs, 100 Black Men, like these different places, the Urban League that have training things set up within their system, but none of them are training for advanced manufacturing. You know what I'm saying? So here's your instant pool of workers. Urban League can find the people because their brand is good in the community, and you help them set up the training that's going to get them in these doors. You know what I'm saying? So facilitating those relationships, showing them how to immediately impact their ROI and their bottom line by using the cooperation and collaboration of these different companies, really blasted my name off.
That's awesome.
Around that same time, I became a teacher at the local community college, Rankin Technical College, and I did the same thing that I was doing for industry for education, right? So now we're seeing an increased enrollment. Now we're seeing people from the community that are in these classes and in these courses that now I'm helping diversify the industry that way, right? So as I started becoming more vocal about, now I'm in the education setting, more educators and more technical colleges started reaching out saying, help us do this here. We have that same problem, right? So it's akin to what you were saying. When you can identify that there's an issue, and then you can identify that maybe I'm not the person that can solve it the best, you can reach out to people that are within your network and say, help me do this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it helps the community and the places that we live the most.
Yeah.